Hello everyone, once again to a new video. Today's topic is something I saw nearly everyone talking about on Twitter: the colors of the engines on Sodor. Nearly everyone complained about the Skarloey railway engines being colorful and not red, such as in the books, or how, like Donnet and Douglas, are blue in the railway series and black only in the TV show. And I thought, since this topic is up now, I will talk about it via my upcoming series and tell you about the colors of Sodor. Let's get going. Alrighty, as we all know, the quote Steam Team has mainly three colors: green, blue and red. This is also true for the railway series, as engines 1 through 8 and later 9 to 11 as well would be in these colors. Of course, the number 7, Toby, is standing out because of his brown livery, but there's also a reason for it, but we'll get to him soon. To start this video off, I think some history would be needed. We'll first talk about the North-Western Railway. Alright, in 1915, Sir Topham Hatt, the first controller of the North-Western Railway, was thinking about something that would make his railway stand out more than the others. He didn't have any ideas at first, but then it hit him. He would paint all his engines in certain colors, and since his favorite color was blue, he went with it. That's why Edward, Gordon, and eventually Thomas were painted in the blue livery with red stripes. Henry would also follow after he was let out of the tunnel. However, by the time Thomas arrived, he was painted back in his green livery. Another good example of the engines being blue would be 98462, 87546 and Alfred. Alfred would be painted back into his Eleanor green paint by 1921 however. When James first arrived, Sir Topham Hatt also wanted him to be blue, instead of his black paint. However, James was a special case, as he would be the first engine to choose to keep his original paint, something that Percy, Toby, Doug, Donnet and Douglas for some time, as well as Oliver, would have when they arrived. James was of course given his red paint after his accident. However, Topham still for the most part wanted to keep his quote rule of his engines being painted in blue. That's why he quote threatened James a blue paint job if he didn't stop showing off. Donnet and Douglas are also interesting cases. They were first painted black when they arrived in 1959. When they were, however, accidentally painted blue, as in the fan story Goods Engines written by Richard Jordan, they thought it would be a nice change. Originally, this story should take place between 1960 and 1962, as they were painted blue already in Stepney's book, which takes place in 1962. However, as I have the story play out in 1968, it goes like this. Following this, they were painted black again after they played a trick on Gordon and Sir Topham Hatt by taking the Express. But, as BR was strictly in a black livery, they decided to be painted blue again, and around the same time, Donnet's Duck takes place, as they were painted blue in this one as well, and I wanted some continuity. When Percy arrived in 1926, he was in a green livery, which he is to this very day as well. This is the time where Sir Topham Hatt decided to expand the colors from only blue to red and green, as Henry and Percy were now green. That's why Doug and Oliver were allowed to keep their Great Western liveries. And then there's Toby. He's a special case as well. He's the only engine on the North-Western Railway with a brown livery. He kept it as a memory to his class, which were all being scrapped after steam was banned from British railways. Not too sure if one is preserved today in real life. I couldn't find one, so I presume not. But that's not to say that Sodor, fictionally, doesn't have some. Anyway, in 1951, after rescuing James together with Percy, he is given a new coat of paint. With this new coat, he is given his blue side plates, and he wears it to this day as well. And this is what Sodor is doing with the colors. As you can see, most engines are blue, green and red. But there are multiple engines that have unique colors as well, like Molly, Bill and Ben being yellow, Murdoch and Marion being orange, Stanley and Spencer, Silver, and so on. With the NWR now done, let's cover the Skarloey Railway. By the way, we're not covering the Artsdale or Caldifell Mountain Railway, as there's nothing that changes, I would say. When Skarloey and Rhaenyra arrived on Sodor, they were painted red. There was no reason behind it, so let's get going. When Falcon, aka Sir Handel, and Stuart, aka Peter Sam, came, they were still in their blue and green livery from the Mid-Sodor Railway. But the manager, Mr. Peter Sam, thought to keep the colors the same, meaning both Sir Handel and Peter Sam were repainted in red. The same would also happen to Duncan and Ivor Hugh. However, the railway also has some exceptions. Duke is one of these. He, like Toby, is the only engine on the line to be painted brown. And also like Toby, he is allowed to keep it as a memory of the Mid-Sodor, at least for the first year. Since his rediscovery, Bertram, who was found by Toby, joined Duke as the second brown engine. Fearless Freddy is also an example. When he visited Sodor in 1978 to help out, he, as a visiting engine, was of course kept in his black and white livery. When he, however, was purchased by the Skarloey Railway in 1996, he still kept his livery, but there's actually a good reason for it. We'll cover that in a few minutes, however. First, we'll talk about Mighty Mag as well. When they were purchased in 1977, Mr. Peter Sam originally wanted them in red, but he thought as they were special, they could keep their livery as well. And finally, there's Rusty. He is the only diesel on the line until 1989 when Fred joins him. As he was something special, he and Fred were kept in the black paint too, until 1996. In this year, which is only a year later since the release of Season 4, the popularity of the Skarloey Railway was big. However, little kids often confused the engines, as they couldn't directly tell them apart. And since the railway had more engines than the show, the confusion was even bigger. That's why another year later, the engines were repainted into their livery from the show. Ivor Hugh, who wasn't featured in the show, wanted another color too, which is why he's painted purple, but by 2006 he was painted back in red. Duke, Bertram, Freddy, Fred, Mighty Mac, Luke, who arrived in 1971 to help at the Blue Mountain Quarry, together with Victor, who became the Steamworks engine together with Jim in 1971, and Millie, who came to help at Ulfstead Castle in 1974, were kept in their liveries. Alrighty, that would be the entire history of the colors of Sodor's engines. I hope you found this video interesting, as it was one of the more complex videos I have made so far. Tell me if you think I missed something or I should maybe update some parts. I will see you soon, hopefully, with my fan series Sodor's History, starting off with part 1 of its first movie Little Big and Diesel Engines rewritten, hopefully premiering on April 28th. Also, this will be my 100th video. I will keep sure that this will be my 100th video. See you then when it hopefully comes out on April 28th again. Goodbye.